Hi there. So what we have here is a Toshiba laptop from a couple years back, I believe 2015. It has a Skylight processor in it, and it's brand new, just taken out of the box, which we'll see later. And what we want to do is to replace the mechanical hard drive with a brand new SSD. Hopefully that speeds it up and makes it a little bit more modern, especially for the environment which this will be used for, which will be from a college environment. But before we can do that and take apart the machine, we have to first clone the existing partition onto the SSD. And the software that we use for that, or that I like to use, is AOMEI Partition Assistant. So the process for that is mainly just going onto the website. You could use a simple Google search for AOMEI Partition Assistant, and it's usually available on CNET. It's a really popular piece of software. You just go onto the website and you download the software, which I will be showing you here in its entirety. Right here. Make sure you download it onto your computer. Open the file. Make sure it installs properly. Now I know a lot of people have their choice of software to use. I know you can go to disk management. That's under the my computer, and do it that way. But I usually like using third-party software. I find it much easier. And AOMEI I've been using for the past 5 years for all my computers for cloning hard drives, and it's worked really well for me. So right there you see both of the hard drives. I have the SSD hooked up via USB cable, and you can see you just go to the selection, you choose which hard drive you want to clone this to, which is the SSD. You go through all the options, and there it is. You hit apply. It's gonna reboot the system while it installs, or while it clones the hard drive, and that's pretty much it. So right here we're gonna disassemble the laptop, or prepare the laptop for disassembly. I'll be removing the power cord, moving it to a better position right here. There you see the top of it. I'm going to flip it over like that. Then I'll scan the bottom to see all the screws that I'll have to take out. So for this particular machine, it's a Toshiba Satellite S55T C5325 4K. So it has the high-end 4K monitor. And the disassembly process for this machine is basically just removing all the screws from the bottom, and there isn't really much of an order or a process to it, but it does help to remove the screw for the RAM cover first, because there's a hidden screw underneath that cover before you start to pry it apart. So right here, I'm going around the perimeter of the laptop and showing all the different screws. It's pretty much all around the laptop right there. Those are all the screws that will need to be removed. And I'm going to start first here for the RAM cover, like that. There's the RAM if you want to upgrade at some point in the future. And there is the screw that you have to remove. It's not really a hidden screw, but you do have to remove it. There it is. And now you remove all the other screws those two screws right there hold the battery in place. So when you're reassembling it, you have to make sure that the battery is there in its slot before you can replace those screws, or else there's a chance you might bend the chassis. There's the battery coming out like that, and you see those little notches there for the screws. And now you just remove all the remaining screws from the perimeter. So this laptop has an i7 6700 HQ quad-core processor. It has the high-resolution 4K monitor, which is also a touchscreen. It also has 16 gigs of RAM, and it has a GTX 950 in it. So for the time, it's a really high-spec machine. And using it so far, even with the mechanical hard drive, it's been pretty fast. The reviews that I've seen for it online haven't been too positive. A lot of users complain about the sharp edges when using the keyboard, and usually about fan noise too, and how the battery doesn't really last that long. Well, for such a high-spec machine like this, it's basically a gaming laptop, even though it's not really advertised as one. So you shouldn't really expect the battery to last that long, especially with that big 4K touchscreen. But anyway, here I am attempting to take it apart with one hand. It's proving a little difficult, but I've removed all the screws and just prying off this bottom cover, which isn't metal, it's all plastic. So it's really easy to break something, so you just have to pry gently from each side. And make sure not to damage any of the internal parts. And we cut right here, and I've removed it. You see all the parts on the bottom, the entire motherboard, the fan, all the connectors, speakers, the RAM, heatsink for the processor and GPU, and there's the hard drive that we'll be taking out. So let's try to take it out. So it's held in place by these rubber inserts here. That's the caddy, I guess. And you simply slide it out, no screws. It's toolless aside from all the screws you have to take out to get the bottom cover off. And you remove that rubber caddy and you set it aside. And there's the hard drive. It's a 1 terabyte Toshiba. I believe it's 5400 RPM, nothing too special. But I'll definitely be selling this. And there's the model number. And here's our SSD. It is a Crucial 500 gigabyte. If it'll focus, or 512 gigabytes. I've had a great deal of luck using these brands of SSDs, the Crucial ones. They really last a long time. And it should definitely be a worthwhile upgrade. And there's the size difference between the two. It's pretty much the same. You just slide the SSD into the rubber using the same configuration as how the mechanical hard drive was in there. You make sure everything is snug and fit, and you place it right back into position like it was before, like that. Make sure that the rubber inserts fit all the way down like that. Make sure that it doesn't move around at all. And that's pretty much it for the SSD install for this particular model of Toshiba. Now all that's left is to replace the bottom cover. Make sure that everything clips into place like so. Make sure to install your battery before you install those 2 screws like I said before, and you're done. Thank you for watching.